Guys, hello, good morning, welcome. We're just gonna be loosey-goosey today, so I really hope you're okay with that. Do some troubleshooting. I think that worked really well last time, so I want us to just kind of continue in that spirit. I will continue to curate and have guest speakers as I see appropriate, especially for market analysis and stuff. But what Debbie and I are talking about is an insurance company reached out to her for one of her properties, and they were wanting to rent it out, and she had questions about cleaners and cleaning team and whether or not there's a increased frequency of cleans, or I guess what is the cadence of cleaning, right, for like a 6-month stay was the question, right, Debbie?
I'm looking back. I can't remember what my question was.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, yes. Do you have somebody come in and clean periodically, or do you just leave it till the very end and charge a little bit more?
Yeah. So that was the question. And so for us, it depends. Especially in these COVID times, a lot of times the guests don't want anyone in and out the house if they have small kids or pets and this and that. So we kind of leave it to the end, and we do charge a little bit more. But if they do want that cleaner to come in a couple times during the stay, we definitely accommodate that. And we will accommodate like one free clean is how we did it. I don't know if that's going to work for everyone's model. And I don't know if it's a model that I'm keeping. These things are changing. They're ever changing, but right now, one free clean, and then any additional clean, we have them reach out to the cleaning team and they pay the cleaning team themselves. So that's what we do. What was the size of the unit, Debbie?
I think that one is about 1,1600 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. And I listed it at $4,850, I think.
Per month?
Per month. How does that sound? Does that sound like a lot? It's not, the neighborhood is a non-HOA, so some of the houses are okay, but others are,
It doesn't sound like a lot to me, honestly. That sounds just right, honestly, for 3 bedrooms. Because here's what I compare it to. Go and you're not going to be apples to apples, if that's the terminology. Go and find 3 bedrooms at a hotel, and how much is that per month for 3 bedrooms, or 2 bedrooms at a hotel? How much is that per month? If you're pet friendly, go and find a kennel, and how much is that per month for two pets? Because it's usually 2 to 3 pets, right? And look at that number, and if you can beat that number, which I know you can, right? And not a motel, it would have to be a Marriott or a Hilton, right?
Right.
That's where I look. And then the second place I look is that the asset that the homeowner is moving from. So insurance, short-term rental policy is to place the individual in a like kind property. So for instance, if I'm in a 1-bedroom studio and insurance has to place me somewhere, they're not going to place me in a 6-bedroom home. Okay.
Right.
It needs to be like kind and vice versa. If I'm in a 6-bedroom home, they're not going to place me in a 1-bedroom studio, right? And one of my tips is to try to understand what type of asset the individual is displaced from, and how much would the insurance policy cover for that type of asset. So your insurance is going to be different from my insurance, right, Debbie? Say you have a $400,000 home and I have a $200,000 home, right? Your insurance, your premiums, everything is going to differ from mine. What you pay is going to differ from mine. What's covered is going to differ from mine. Short-term rental accommodations are going to differ from mine also. So that needs to be taken into consideration. So all this to say, and I do go deep, and I can pretty much identify how much money there is available for short-term accommodations. And I take that into consideration as well. So I'm not trying to rob the bank, but it takes work. We're in the hospitality business. This isn't just tenant landlord, right? There are
The lady from the representative that I talked to from ALE Solutions too was super helpful and super upfront and said these people came from a big house, so they've got plenty of insurance to cover it. And she helped me set my prices, and so I was just super impressed with how helpful they were. But I haven't heard from them since. So
yeah. So ultimately, like for example, we had ALE Solutions. We had a deal in the works and it fell through. And this is a property that is it's a 5-bedroom home with an office or two. And the family's coming from like a crazy 10,000 square foot home. This one's closer to 3,000, but for that area, there was nothing that was comparable. Ours is going to be the closest. Well, a portion of the home burnt down, and they also live on a farm with livestock, and they have humongous dogs, you know? And so ALE Solutions really wanted us. They felt like for the distance, you know, it's going to be the best bet without the family having to drive, you know, an hour out to find, you know, an estate to stay in. But, you know, the woman, she reached out to me and said she drove by the house and she saw that that this particular property, the yard was not fenced in. And so because it wasn't fenced in, she declined. The house is beautiful, but it wasn't fenced in. And they have not just puppy dogs, they have like humongous guard dogs. So that ended up working out, you know, for us, because, you know, who knows, you know, what implications that would be for these big guard dogs. So she knows her situation. So that was good. So she declined. So I would say a lot of times homeowners decline as well. We have, I have another guest who actually is, hi, Valee. Valee just jumped on.
Hi.
Hey, hi, Angelia.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good. We're just having kind of a troubleshooting chit chat about things, insurance. This is an area where Debbie, she had an experience this week. And it sounds, honestly, Debbie, that's a really good experience. And if you can hold on to that individual's number and just keep it in your Rolodex and reach out to them, I would put them on a schedule, maybe, Debbie, and reach out to them every couple months and just make sure you know you've got a property, you know, available. I don't see anything wrong with that. Matter of fact, if you can find them on LinkedIn and friend them, is it called friending?
I don't know.
I don't know. So, but it's the contact you want to have, you know, because they tend to pay well, and we've had some great experiences with them as well.
Cool.
Debbie, I did have a question, and Rachel, to you too. When you guys were getting into the insurance housing industry, do you go direct to the agent or the claims manager? Like, how are you making these connections? ALE Solutions, are they, I'm assuming they are a subset of the insurance company, maybe?
They're like the go-between, right?
Yeah, ALE Solutions is a responsible for more than 60% of the housing solution for the insurance companies. And so whenever, if Allstate has a problem with Allstate, their specialization is insurance and all of that, ALE will source the housing on their behalf. They have a hotel arm and a home property arm as well. So that's the housing piece of it. So Debbie, how did you, let me let you start off. How did you make the connection?
Well, through you, I guess I looked back at some notes and saw that, and I was trying to, seek out all the ways I could to get my property booked. And that was just one of them. And I think I went to their website, signed up, and immediately that day, a representative reached out, and I was, and it was wonderful. And she was super helpful, super nice, helped me, feel good about my pricing and everything else, but it didn't work out. So, but I'm in their system now. And the other system I'm in is InFocus Plus. Is anybody else in there too?
Yes.
So I haven't heard from them at all, but I'm putting it out there too. I got to get it booked.
What is InFocus Plus? Which industry are they tied to?
The filming industry. So they're going to be very niche and specific to certain areas. I will say like Georgia, anywhere there are films, being made, they scout out both sets for filming as well as properties for the cast and the crew. So InFocus Plus is another website that we market on as well. I think the reason I was heavily involved in all of these websites was initially, when we first started, our biggest consternation was, oh my gosh, will anyone book our property? What if no one books? And so I signed up for everything. I was not going to be the bottleneck. I was not going to be the reason that someone does not see my property. So we marketed on InFocus, and it's free to market there. We market on Furnish Finder, Corporate Housing by Owner. Those are two paid platforms where you can market. We marketed on Airbnb. There's no upfront. Verbo, there's really no upfront. Where else? I mean, we marketed everywhere. Matter of fact, we're going to be marketing on the military site as well. I mean, why not, right? Mm-hmm. And so InFocus is one of those platforms that are very industry specific that we market to. So I market to about 12 or 13 OTAs, online travel agencies, but the bulk, I would say the bulk of our bookings for the properties I own are on Verbo and Airbnb. For the properties I manage in the Poconos, the bulk is direct booking on our website. We do get some Furnish Finder here and there. We do get some of the other things, but the vast majority is Airbnb and Verbo, honestly. Booking.com is another online travel agencies to consider as well. You just have to be really intentional and strategic because there are definitely some gaps with Booking.com. I hear more bad things than good, but you're marketing to the overseas guests on Booking.com. So there's definitely a lion's share. To be honest with you, the more I speak with my UK and Australian friends, Airbnb is not as hot to trot as you would think it would be in the UK or in Australia or overseas, honestly. So Booking.com gives them a run for their money. When you have that select guest who is coming to the US, they will look at Booking.com to book. We do have a UK guest right now that we're hosting on Airbnb, but Booking definitely allows there to be an opportunity, so to speak. So if you live in an area, I know in the Northeast, where you'll get a lot of travelers coming in, and they're about to lift the travel restrictions for certain countries in Europe, guys. Let me think. In November. And so my guest right now, who's here from the UK, her husband and her friend were supposed to come here for a conference. Her husband got banned, from coming, they blocked him. I was like, oh, I thought it was 3, Miss Karen. She says, no, they wouldn't let her husband come. And so it was really tough for her and her friend to even make it, and her husband couldn't make it. So there are a lot of restrictions, guys, but those are about to be lifted and we're about to see an influx. So if you're in the Northeast, you know, where we see a lot of travelers from Europe, definitely look into leveraging booking.com also so that you can get some visibility for your property. But be very strategic about it. Understand that there are risks, there are chargeback issues, there's a lot of fraud on the back end, but there are ways to overcome them as well. There's the Genius program, there are ways to overcome them as well. And quite frankly, it's worth it. It's worth being an expert in booking.com. It's worth it because I've seen the numbers, guys, and it's about 30% higher gross than the other platforms if the guest is coming in from booking. So it's definitely worth it, especially if you're in the Northeast where you get a lot of travelers from Europe. So I may get a European traveler once every couple months, so, and I'm still interested, right, in looking into booking. But if you're that, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, if you know that, you get a lot of European travelers, even Orlando, because Walt Disney's about to celebrate 50 years, right? And you want to look into booking.com and put in all of your safeguards in place to make sure that, you're okay as well. So I hope that helps. Welcome, Doug.
How are you doing?
Good. So we're doing a bit of a round robin. Jump on it, Doug.
No, my wife registered for the course, but she had to go in the office today, so I'm stepping in. We're both real estate investors and trying to complete our first flip. And but in the meantime, we are looking for opportunities for buy and hold, and the best strategy to do that. So look forward to this course.
Awesome. Well, it's not technically a course. It's kind of a super group masterminding where
okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. So this is the luxury short-term rental mastermind or super group where we just come in. I do sometimes have a prepared set of slides. I always have a prepared set of slides. So if you guys want me to bullet you guys to death,
that's fine.
I certainly can. Or if you want, if you have specific targeted questions, and I know Debbie and I were talking a little bit, and Valee chimed in with a question about the insurance clients. This is a clientele that we serve also on a short-term rental basis. I actually have a big family checking in today, and yeah.
What do you mean by
what I mean by that is when we host as short-term rental hosts, there are about, I would say, 70 or more use cases for short-term rental hosts. You're gonna make me break out and get my slides. Let me do it.
Yeah.
Let me do it. Yeah, I'm here for it.
While you're doing that, Rachel, what are some of the companies that you've plugged in for relocation? Like for the companies who help folks as they're relocating, because we have a shortage of those kind of properties here in this market, it appears, but also would like to tap into more that would feed my properties.
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest with you, and let me see, was that Deborah or Valee? Who was asking?
That was Valee.
Valee?
Like I know of, like Lexicon is a big relo company. So it's like those, or if, I was wondering if there was a sub platform, kind of like you mentioned for the industry and filming industry, if there's a sub platform for some of these folks as well.
Yeah, that's really a great question. And to be honest with you, Valee, my outreach has not been the greatest because we continue to stay booked. So I have not really done a lot of marketing in terms of, reaching out to different companies. And so although I've made connections with ALE Solutions. To be honest with you, they saw us out, and they actually use platforms such as Airbnb, platforms such as Verbo. Maybe not Airbnb as much because there have been struggles there. But platforms such as VRBO, they seek us out there. They seek us out also on a platform called Corporate Housing by Owner. That is another platform that we market on, and we market on Corporate Housing by Owner. It's more expensive, and we market only for specific properties. The larger properties that are going to be expensive because we need the property kind of absorb the cost of that listing. And I think the listing price is anywhere from $400 to like $900 annually, which is high, but we market on that site. So it's more of a lead generation site. It's not a site where you can just go and find the property and book it. You go in, you find the property, then you text message me or you reach out to me. So or you email me. So that kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
No, I was going to say I'm tied in with the corporate housing and with Furnished Finder, and yes, I get emails from them all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are going to be your best bet. But in order to tie in on the back end, it's a little bit challenging because there's insurance involved in terms of the property and in terms of the agent. They may want a space where they know that they can guarantee a certain standard. And so they typically work with other corporate housing license providers type of thing typically. But if any of them reach out to me, Willie, I kind of keep that information. I reach out every now and then, but I kind of hunt down others that are within that industry. So case in point, there's another one called Assured Relocation. Assured Relocation is another company as well that I can reach out to for relocation services. Additionally, Billy, it would behoove you to consider, even if you have one property, even if you have two properties, it would behoove you to consider creating a website for your properties, even if it's a landing page. Say, hi, we are such and such temporary housing, furnish accommodations with the comforts of home. We provide furnished accommodations, just bring your luggage, and we're here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. And you create that website, and you may have to pay a few dollars if you're looking to get bookings, a few dollars to get your property or your website to hit the SEO the right way, so that if someone Googles, relocation housing in Charlotte, or relocation, temporary housing or short-term rentals, that you're on page one above the fold. Okay. So I would consider, I would really consider a website if you are looking to really get those direct bookings and make sure you're serving that population.
Perfect, thank you.
Rachel, question. Have you found I guess an ideal radius from like major airports or something like that? Is that something you look at, or you take into your analysis of what property to hold, or does it matter if you're anywhere in the city? Is there an ideal, radius from like major airports and stuff like that?
Great question. For me, if I'm 30 minutes away from an airport, if I'm 30 minutes away from a major industry, kind of like the film industry, Tesla plant, a major plant, if I'm 30 minutes away from a hotel, university, a hospital, I'm good. Okay. But, and you know what, I may even have to go to a different slide. But we have a whole different asset class. I feel it's a whole different asset class where people are looking for unique stays. And so let me share this with you guys. So these are the industries, right? The airport, the university, the hospital and a hotel, 30 minutes away from any of those. I'm sitting pretty, right? But people are looking for a unique stay, you know? So they want to be glamping. They want some type of experience. And I would be remiss as a luxury short-term rental operator not to speak about this. They want to be off the beaten path, rules, right? And so in luxury accommodations, it's not just about, you know, accumulation of things. People want to accumulate a unique experience to say, you know what, I've done this, right? I've stayed in a tiny house. I've stayed on a secluded island. I've stayed in a funky yurt, you know, whatever this is. I've stayed in this, you know, monstrosity fairy tale situation. I've stayed in the invisible house disappearing. I stayed in this really cool Instagrammable Airstream. You know what I mean? And so you can be a ways off and still, if
Well,
you create an experience.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess, Rachel, I guess from what you were talking earlier, and please correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not versed in this at all. The Airbnb market since the pandemic has taken a hit, vacation and all that stuff. Is that still hot? Number two, you mentioned a brilliant strategy of industry. How did you see the market going right now? Do you see a lot of you know, renting, you know, properties that are, you know, around industry and all that kind of stuff, you know, business travelers, all that kind of stuff, or more vacationers right now, especially since the pandemic?
Yeah, that's a great question. And of course I have a slide for that, right?
Awesome.
So here's what took a hit. Fly to locations took a hit, my friend.
Okay.
But drive to locations, we have been on and popping. We did not take a hit. We've made more record-breaking numbers this last year.
Okay.
Okay. So if someone can drive to your location, if you're, you know, 4 or 5 hours out, for instance, the Poconos of Pennsylvania, I get travelers from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. They drive in and they want to be there because you know what? They want to be out of their house.
Right.
They want to go to anybody's house, just not their house, right? So the thirst for travel is here. And what has taken a hit again is the fly to markets. You're not going to Paris, you're not going to Europe, you know, those were the things that really took a hit. But the drive to markets were insane. They were insane. And so urban areas were down also, big cities, because what comes with the big city? The nightlife, the clubs, all of the things, right? But again, the drive to regional markets, they won. And so no, Airbnb is and short-term rentals, I'm very, very optimistic about it. And it's really, it's incredible, you know, what we're able to do over the last couple of years. We made multiple 6 figures on 10 properties alone, you know, so it was very, very profitable still. Does that kind of answer your question? Did we lose you, my friend?
Rachel, I have a question. This is Deborah. Regarding when you book direct, you're not using a Airbnb or VRBO, taxes. How do you collect, quote, and submit those taxes to the IRS? I have been Googling what's policy and do they come into play after a tenant is with you past X number of days? And yeah, my brain is hurting.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Deborah. And it's a little bit of a loaded question because although it depends on how, it depends, let me tell you, it depends. But definitely, yes, that's a good question. And you need to make sure that all of that is set up beforehand, okay? The book direct sites that you use, they typically are, you can set it up to ensure that the taxes are allocated, period. So when if you're creating a landing page, fine, but if you're actually creating a legitimate travel book direct site, taxes are listed in there as an itemized item that you can then utilize. You can use your accounting service. You can use, there are several solutions also that you can connect to make sure that the taxes are paid. I know my Alavera lodging tax is one. There are several, but yes, Deborah, that's a great question. You want to make sure it's built in and baked into the system or into the company that you're going to use to build your direct booking site.
Okay, yeah, I came across the Avalera My Lodge tax.
Okay, you know what I'm talking
Is
about.
that something you're familiar? Is that, do you use them?
I don't.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, we actually, we worked with a developer, and so we had it all baked in because we serve different counties, there are different taxes. And so
right.
we had all of that, built out, and it actually took over a year to build. I wouldn't recommend using our people.
Mm-hmm.
But I
So,
would
okay, so
more
on
out of
your
it all.
website, you're able to create invoices or quotes or contracts, I guess. And that's where you're saying your developer kind of set your contract based on the location of the property. So it automatically knows what the taxes will be. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
So
confusing. It's very, yeah.
Yeah. So it's more work, and that's why I know Airbnb gets a bad rap, but
Mhm.
they do
No,
a
I
lot
see the
for
beauty
us.
now. Yeah, since I'm booking direct, it sounds so glamorous until you realize how much you have to do on the back end when you're the one booking direct.
Absolutely. And then the credit cards, right? How do you collect the funds? And, yeah.
Mhm.
Then there's the credit card company will charge you, right? Your fees and yeah,
Right.
it's a
I
lot.
initially started with PayPal Business and they take out several percent.
Yeah.
So I've switched now
And
to
then they will
Zelle.
hold it sometimes, right? They
Yes,
hold
they
it.
held it for 3 weeks,
Oh
21
my
days.
gosh. Give me my money now, Are you
Exactly. And they
kidding
said it
me?
was because I was a new business, which I understand, but I don't, right? Um, so yeah, so I'm switching to Zelle, which charges no fees.
Right.
And I understand that's a trackable, so your CPA will be fine with using that as a payment because you can identify what it's for.
But the
But yeah, this tax,
problem I found with Zelle,
uh-huh.
for instance, if I have a corporate traveler who has an American Express and they want to swipe their credit card,
Exactly, you can't.
you really can't. Not yet. Hopefully they figure that out, but you really can't. So that was one that's like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
So do you use Stripe? Who do you use for credit cards?
I still use PayPal Business. I use
Okay.
Stripe for some other businesses. I still use PayPal Business, and I'm just like, give
And
me
do
my.
you charge them the fee? Do you just put the credit card fee as a line item they pay, or you eat that?
I charge them a different type of line item. I charge them something called an administration fee because it
Okay.
takes a little bit more of a lift, and
Mm-hmm.
I charge them an admin fee. I've only done PayPal a couple times. They typically can just, use use Zelle. They typically use Zelle, but I've done PayPal just a couple times when I ran into like a guest from Canada who had a corporate card and all of that. And I just charge $150 administration fee. I figured that would cover everything, like my headaches and but you know what? But I'm still questioning it. I was like, did I leave money on the table there? So definitely look at it when all is said and done and make sure that if it's $200 worth of fees, I pass that on to the guests, honestly.
Right.
And then
And let
add
me
does-
ask you that.
I was just gonna say, would Square work for you, Deborah? Maybe, have you looked into Square?
I have not looked into Square, but I will check them out. Did they charge fees as well?
I think all these companies have a little
It-
bit of fees, but it's the Square, I think, though, is a little more ease of use, and I think it accepts like anything and everything in terms of payments. So
for credit cards. Okay, thanks for that.
Can I speak to that for a minute?
Please do, yes.
So what I'm doing, and it seems like it hits all your points, Deborah. I've got Owner Res, the channel manager, and that's who I use. And you pick I've got Stripe, whatever that's called. And through Owner Res too, you can set up your own direct booking website, and it's super easy to do that. Using Owner Res is kind of hard to, figure out, but oh, what else was I going to say? So it takes your money. Yeah, and I use Avalara too. So they do the tax thing, and Owner Res sets up the taxes on your direct booking website also. So it's all kind of interconnected.
So you
Wow,
use
that sounds
Avalara that connects, the Avalara connects to Owner Res, or would Owner Res do it with that?
Avalara will take taxes from Verbo, because Verbo doesn't take the taxes when you've got the channel manager. And so they do the Verbo taxes and my direct booking taxes, and they will pay them to the county and the state.
Okay.
That's what I use.
That's
I'm
good
just
to know.
getting used to it, though.
That's good to
Awesome.
know.
And we have a question from Angelia. So, and I think we lost our friend Doug. So I will stop sharing that since he's gone. Oops. To answer your question, Angelia. Okay, let's see. That. Nope. I'm not trying to end meeting. Oh, Doug says he's here. Okay, Doug. Oh, he's back. Hey, Doug.
Hey, my connection dropped.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm back.
Awesome. Okay, so let me answer your question, and then I'll go to Angelia's question. Understanding who it is that you're serving is going to be key, right? So our client avatar changes based on the market that we serve, but primarily we love to serve large families with children and pets. And that is just who we serve. And the reason that's my client avatar is honestly, it's the avatar I can relate the most to, because that's me. When I travel, I have an entourage of my siblings, my husband's siblings, their spouses, their children, my parents, his parents. They're like, it's a situation. So that informs our asset class that we're looking for. We're looking for properties, larger properties with a bit of a yard, so that the kids can run out, the pets can run out, and that's really it informs our whole investing strategy for the most part. And if you're getting started in short-term rentals, I say stick to one client avatar. Make sure you study them in and out. You understand their pain points so that you can serve them the best. And when they see your listing amongst a sea of 1 point whatever million listings that are out there, they know that your property is specifically tailored to them and their needs.
Gotcha.
But with that being said, travel can occur for so many reasons. We've already discussed the different locations, 30 minutes out of any of those industries, right? But also you have vacationers, workationers, staycationers, displacement, relocation, which we've talked about. Guests who are displaced from their house due to major renovations or major repairs that are needed. So we had a host of guests that we were serving due to Hurricane Ida. They left Louisiana, went to Mississippi, came to Georgia to our spaces because they weren't sure what was going to happen. So we had the opportunity to serve them. Those who are relocating to the area, they come to the area. We have an executive, he's coming to the area. He's going to live with us for like a month as he house hunts. It's not easy to find a house right now, right? That is within, everyone's budget. So he's going to live with us for a month, short-term rent, and house hunt and figure out, okay, which schools, which neighborhoods, and so on and so forth. We have families who are doing a quick renovation. Well, quick turns out to be this thing, right? So you're fixing flipping. Has your timelines been exactly what your expectations were based on your contractors, based on your materials?
No, they haven't. I love this. I love your idea. I think it's brilliant. I know a lot of panelists here. I'm new to this. The short-term rentals. You're talking about like a week or two? how do you, or I guess at most a month as far as a rental? Um, I guess this is the apps you're talking about, but how do you keep yourself from incurring holding costs, carrying costs and all that, or how do you, I guess, how do you ensure that you're always lined up with the next person after one person vacates? Or is that even an issue because you have a queue?
Well, we don't necessarily have a queue. We sometimes do, we sometimes don't. Like, I can tell you I'm booked out till
Yeah.
Thanksgiving right now, but I don't necessarily want 100% occupancy. Long-term world, my long-term friends, you guys want occupancy 100% of the time. I'm okay with some vacancy.
Okay.
Okay. I like to operate, especially for our larger homes, I like to operate at a 65% occupancy rate. So I'm okay with vacancy because I'm priced right,
Okay.
I'm priced right and I can still generate revenue that is going to gross 3x more than a long-term rental. So I'm okay with vacancy.
Okay.
Matter of fact, vacancy gives me a breather sometimes
Yeah.
because you know what, I need to tighten up a few things. I need to do a quick update on something, do a really deep clean that's much needed in between seasons. We're okay with vacancy.
Okay.
So I'm not going to lower my price all the way till someone occupies it. Yeah, vacancy is okay. Vacancy is not the, it's not a bad
Not the
thing.
headache as it is in the long term, right? Okay.
Not as much as in a long term. It's a whole different mindset, Doug, a whole different mindset.
Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Any other questions? So case in point, I will tell you this, Doug, like even our properties, we no longer, unless it's on the beach, beachfront or something like that, we don't even show the pictures of the exterior of our properties anymore because we have had clients say there's a domestic situation, attorney needs to place a family and they don't want one of the spouses to know where that property is. So, I mean, there are so many reasons for short-term rentals. It's incredible. We would be talking for hours of why, someone may need a short-term rental. So many reasons. Family coming into town for a wedding, hooray. Family coming into town for a funeral, oh no. You know what I mean? There are so many reasons.
How do you, Rachel,
Happy.
it's brilliant. I'm glad that my wife, the brains of the operation, how she came across this. How do you advertise? How do you get the word out? You mentioned domestic situation, stuff like that. Are you in partnership with the government? How do you get that property, out there like that? How are you advertising for it?
That's a great question. I will tell you, I advertise on 13 or 14 different platforms that have, houses. I advertise directly with direct marketing. But in my area in Georgia, 98% of my bookings come from Airbnb and Vrbo, meaning the attorney is looking on Airbnb, the insurance adjuster is looking on Airbnb, the Airbnb is the Google of short-term rentals, like it or not, right? Everyone knows, okay, I need something for 3 days, right? And they don't want to go to a hotel. I'm sorry, hotel, nothing against you, but they don't want to go to a hotel. They want to be in a house where they can cook a meal with 2 bedrooms, a little bit of square footage, right? They don't want to be cooped up in a hotel room, rebreathing other people's breath in an elevator,
Right.
So it's you can really brand yourself as an expert. So I would tell you 90+% comes from Airbnb Verbal. In my Poconos market, 60% comes from our website direct booking site, which we work with SEO because you got to kind of stand out in the vacation rental markets. But in like just suburban area, Airbnb and Vrbo. It's
And
Google.
the type of house, it doesn't have to be vacation-y type of house. It's really just a normal house.
It's a normal house. It's a normal house.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's absolutely just a normal house. Matter of fact, let me stop this show and I'm gonna share. Let's see. Can you still see my screen?
You.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It says see you, not if you're showing something, I can't see it.
You can't see my screen, okay. And let's see. And to answer your question, Angelia, I'm gonna show you real quick where to go.
Okay.
Because the adjusters are going to be very location specific and guest specific and task specific. So switch to hosting. Oh, they changed things, right, guys? So this is one of our listings. I mean, you can tell me your impression. Does this look vacation-y or does it look like a home?
It's really nice. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's just a house, right? You don't
Yeah.
see, I guess this looks kind of beachier through that there, but it's a house. It's a house, right? You're not seeing a foosball table. You're not seeing all of the things, right?
Yeah.
Mhm. It looks like a clean space, right? That you can.
It's brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah. This is the one actually that's going to be in the TV show, but yeah, just so you can see, it's a house. It has a
Rachel, do you
little-
use a property manager to manage the day in and day out, cleaning and all that kind of stuff, or complaints, maintenance, or are you handling that yourself?
I handle it myself for the most part. So, but I do have a team that I work with. So I have, a virtual assistant that helps respond to things if I'm not being timely enough.
Okay.
Yeah. But just like, it sounds like you might be handy, Doug, but just like if something goes wrong
Yeah.
on the property and I need to call a plumber, hey, call a plumber. It's not me. I wouldn't be able to fix it myself, so that's why it's not too challenging to manage remotely because I can show up with a plumber. That's all I can do, just show up. But I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to plumbing, right? So
Well, so I
you
mean,
outsource it. I outsource everything.
gotcha. You mentioned you're in the Georgia area, so am I. But so you're not talking about properties like way outside your driving range or anything like that. You're not talking about, hey, I'm owning properties in Florida, Miami area, or Texas or something like that. You're talking about locally.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We have properties in Florida and Pennsylvania.
You said you do.
We're looking in Texas. Yes, we do.
Okay, so when you have to clean something, you fly there?
Oh, again, I manage those
Okay.
steps. I don't clean.
Okay. That's what I was asking. You have a property manager to do that. Okay.
Not a property manager. I manage it, but I
Gotcha. You have a
tell,
crew.
I have the crew. I let the crew know. I don't even do that. My virtual assistant lets the crew know, hey, we need to clean at this property.
Understood.
So I don't hire up. And that's the important part about this mastermind and the super group is I believe that you need to manage it yourself because it's like, yeah, unless you just absolutely, manage it yourself. Why would you want someone to take 30% or 40% or 20%, right?
Yeah, so you make so much sense. And again, I'm stuck in the long-term rental line because I don't want typically long term. I don't want those kind of headaches. But short term makes too much sense. What you're saying.
Yeah. I started off cleaning. I'm not cleaning anymore. Oh my God.
Right.
So Angelia, I wanted to catch you before our time runs out. So if you go to alesolutions.com, and this is my little bonus, You scroll to, let me see, nope. You go to Housing Solutions, register property. Okay, this is what Debbie and I were talking about a little bit earlier. And you just add in your property. It's not going to give you that like that satisfying feeling of the property being listed. You just fill it out to the best of your ability. You put in your rates, you put in something. I'll put $10,000 to start, you know. If it's a smaller unit, 3 bedrooms or less than $5,000, but it ultimately is a conversation anyway. So just put in a number, put in a nice healthy number. Refundable security deposit. You see, I already have it there. 3, put the number of bedrooms, fill this out, amenities, and then submit. That's it.
That
And
looks
you'll get
pretty.
an email that says you have submitted. And then you wonder, hey, did it go anywhere? Well, it's added into their portal. And Debbie said she got a call almost right away when she did it. So yeah, I don't get calls that often. I'll get a call like maybe a few weeks later. It depends on what's happening in that community, because if someone's house, you know, sprung a big old, started as leak and then now it's a flood or there's a fire, then they'll come looking for you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. So I hope this was helpful. Guys, I think short-term rentals are here to stay. I'm very optimistic. I really
Rachel, one final question.
yeah, okay.
As a person that's very interested in trends, trying to, I guess, branch out into this, how did you start your journey into short term?
To be honest with you, I looked at everything, right? I'm one of those, like, I overdo it.
Okay.
Like some people say, start, just put it on Airbnb. I put it on 12 platforms because I wasn't going to be the one that's house didn't get rented. That's how afraid I was when I first started. I started in 2019. And I had been consuming a lot of real estate information for the past 3 years. And I finally pulled what is the guy? Plug trigger. Okay, thank you. I was like, I pulled the bullet. It's like, no, that doesn't. And I love that this is recorded. So this is fantastic. Everyone knows that English is my third, not my first, not my second. English is my third language, y'all. So bear with me. Okay, so I pulled the trigger and I pulled the plug because when I looked at the numbers for our goal in life, short-term rentals were the only thing that makes sense. Okay, and here's why. We had spent years and spending on paying off student loans. I've got a doctorate, my husband's got a master's. We spent years paying off student loans. And then we had come to a point where, yay, the student loans are pretty much gone, but we have nothing in savings. And we were looking for a way, how do we really accelerate our savings? And so I looked at syndications, which is where you kind of crowdsource and group finance big apartment buildings, because I was like, okay, we got to go big or go home apartment buildings. Well, apartment buildings were in the millions, so you crowdsource. I looked at the numbers for the individual. Oh, that's not going to work. I looked at long-term rentals, $300, net after all is said and done is not going to work. I looked at investing in industrial commercial units. I looked at everything. Okay. The only thing that really panned out in terms of showing me some type of accelerated growth was short-term rentals, period. And so we just went all in there and we haven't looked back, really. We may look back later on, I don't know, but we have not looked back. So we're super, super passionate about this space for sure. And I'll share with you my free masterclass if you're interested. I have one final one coming up on Saturday, and I'll add it to the chat. And so this is my last one. And thank you guys all who attended. Oh my gosh, I saw quite a few of you there, where I provide value on, a little bit of our story, the different ways that we're hosting now, because you have to pivot shift with what's going on. So jump in on the free masterclass. I'll be sharing my story, and at the end I do have a pitch where I'm enrolling in my mastermind for a small group of those who really want to get laser focused, want access to all of my templates, my teams, my sourcing team to the cleaning team and how I source those, my realtors, my lenders, all of the things. So I have that, but it's a free masterclass. I have the last one on Saturday. Before I tuck it back into the vault, guys, I'm just gonna tuck it back and see you next year. Because I'm wrapping things up with my W-2. I do have a couple of strategic, moves that I'm making right now with the way the economy is going. I said, okay, I need to make one more strategic move. We do have a house on the beach that we're building. And so I got to kind of hold on for a little bit longer until I can be a healthcare profession dropout or a corporate dropout or all of those things. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I intend to still work in healthcare. I feel like I'm helping, but at a part-time basis for sure. So
Sounds amazing.
Did that answer your question, Doug, how I started?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. I'm very interested.
Addie, you've been quiet.
No, I've just been listening. Actually, I was expecting someone at the house and they're running late. So I was just listening out. I've done a short-term rental with a friend in Dallas, Texas. It was a rental arbitrage. And so I guess I've been trying to decide, if I want to plunge back into it. I actually enjoyed being a host more than I thought I would. My strong suit is more, I think, dealing with the guests more so than some of the technology side. So I guess I've been a little leery about getting involved again, because as I say, the technology part is really not my strong suit, but dealing with guests, I enjoy that more than I thought I would. And I'm just trying to, I guess, figure out the best way if I want to re-engage with short-term rentals again, the best way to do it. And I do, agree with you. I've been looking at some various things too, and it sort of keeps coming around to a short-term rental. I do have a property, an inherited property that I own half of, and another family member owns the other half. And so I'm going to, I think, buy her out, but I don't know that the location is so much suitable for short-term rental, but I am thinking about doing something other than just the straight rental in that property. So I am looking, and I definitely want to attend your mastermind class coming up. And I would just say quickly, we did use booking.com, and we did have some problems with some guests. These were more, I think, local people who were booking, and we had a couple of incidents with them. We were working with, eventually we worked with a company that helped us to get on some of these other sites. And so I guess with booking.com, as you admonish, just be careful, and the booking for those. But you definitely have piqued my interest. I've heard you just talk about this 2 or 3 times now. So I am, I think, still interested in the short-term rental route. So I definitely want to hear more from you and learn from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rachel,
Yeah.
Maddie brought up a spurred a question in me. We talked about the distance real quick. You talked about the distance from major industries and stuff like that. Do you do the same as in long-term rentals? You stay out of developing neighborhoods or low income, or you strictly suburbs or hot areas? How do you focus where you want to, purchase a property or, put that property on the market?
Yeah, I do a whole analysis, really, Doug. Up and coming can be great. I'm in the luxury space, so there's some things that are going to be hard to overcome in the luxury space. If you go into a neighborhood that is kind of run down, so to speak. So my approach is definitely different from the approach of other operators, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm going to market in the luxury space, identifying and knowing who the client that I'm serving will be For me, I have certain parameters that I would have to abide by. If that makes sense. So it depends on who you're attracting, who your avatar is. Is it,
The luxury, or is it, vacation?
standard, or is it ultra luxury? There are different things that come into play. Jump on my masterclass. I actually cover all three different categories, and
Okay.
it's standard versus luxury versus ultra luxury. But I've got to jump. I just got 2 calls at the office. But I appreciate you guys so much.
Where's your where's your information on your masterclass? I'm not seeing it. Did you put something in the chat?
I did. Let's see. Let me see. Oh, you know what? It just went to panelists, copy. And I'm going to send it to everyone. So it is shorttermgems.com/free masterclass. And I just added it to the chat.
Thank you, Rachel. Wonderful as always. Have a great
You're welcome.
day, everyone.
Thanks,
you.
Rachel.
you.
I-
Rachel, this is awesome. Thank you.
Okay.